are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Surlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations. I'm Spaceboy and welcome to Spaceboy Universe. And across from me is the lovely Surlana, but she'll chime in very shortly. Hey, remember to join us on the live chat in Spreaker. You just have to search for spaceboyuniverse.com and that'll get you in with all the cool kids because, man, they love to chat, which our cool kids are called Space Cadets, by the way. And when you go through Twitter, make sure to hashtag your tweets tonight with hashtag Space Cadets and hashtag SBU. Uh-oh. This is not starting off good. What are you looking at?
I'm just looking at you.
Okay.
I have the right to look at you.
I know, but it's when you were looking at Holly Joe Osment in the movie The Forrest Gump, Anyway, Facebook, we're all over social media, unfortunately. Facebook is Spaceboy Universe. Search there. The bottom line is, as you go out into the universe, amongst social media, just look for Spaceboy Universe. That is the key word. So, just go check that out. Now, if you want to follow the lovely Surlana, which I follow her all the time here because I'm married to her, you can follow her on Twitter. That's at Surlana. You can follow me at Spaceboy Music. Of course, follow us under Instagram under Spaceboy Universe. I guess the social media here is just pouring out of us left and right. So you didn't catch the show live? No problem, because we are live just about everywhere, and then our feed dumps into the great universe. So you can catch us on SoundCloud. You can catch us on Stitcher. You can tune iTunes, iHeartMedia, including YouTube. And I'm sorry I'm all juddered up because tonight I've just been given a new script and I need to work it all out. So, yeah, speaking of YouTube, we do more than just the archive of shows there on YouTube, don't we, Surlana?
Yes.
So, okay. We do video interviews, 2-Bit Gamers, Spaceboy Music is uploaded there, so the content is aplenty up there. In fact, starting this next week, you'll be able to see the beginning of this program on YouTube, video-wise. Yes, that's right. We're videotaping in the studio, and we're going to make it a reoccurring thing that every Monday we'll upload the banter section that goes along with this show. So without further ado, let's get the lovely Surlana in, and let's get the show started, shall we?
Yeah, I thought I wrote the most simple script.
If you're wondering what I'm doing is telling Surlana...
Nobody can see that, dear.
No, but you'll need to pull your mic up.
Well, it's just...
I love how you say, nobody will see that. What do I have in front of me?
Well, the people who right now can't see
closer.
anything. I just did.
Okay. There we go. We're off to... we take a week off, and you're still grouchy.
I still have a headache.
All right, so where do we go from there?
Go insane is what we do. let's talk about something that's near and dear to your heart. The
Okay.
AT&T Time Warner merger.
Oh, well, I will admit that I was kind of excited to hear that the DOJ has decided to block that.
Well, it's this headline says why yesterday's AT&T Time Warner merger appeals matters and why it's a long shot.
What, for them to stop the merger? Okay.
So the Department of Justice appealed their merger,
DOJ.
saying it seemed like a deal was just settled and closed last month, meaning, I guess, June.
Yeah, everybody seemed happy. Everything was along the way, and all of a sudden, this kind of seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, the government asked the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn a ruling that was overwhelmingly in favor of the merger. It suggested that it could put the brakes on similar deals that may come later, that if you got corporations that want to merge like this. So now this appeal doesn't have any immediate effects on AT&T Time Warner's plans, since they didn't ask for a legal stay, if you understand what that is. I don't. But it says that the Department of Justice plans to keep fighting consolidation like this. So that means future mergers with other corporations, it could affect them. So,
well, let's hope it doesn't affect the merger of Disney and Fox.
I've not heard anything about the government doing anything about that. Have you?
No, in fact,
because that's just entertainment.
I mean, it's different between Time Warner and
they're providing a service for you to get to that content. They're not necessarily the content provider, but AT&T and Time Warner. I didn't even know Time Warner still existed. I know they're a cable service, but we're overrun by Xfinity Comcast here. It's just a matter of where you live based on what you get. Same with AT&T. We've all known AT&T for hundreds of years, because they did the whole Bell South thing, and it was your telephone lines,
right?
Your landline telephone lines. But now they're into the DSL, which is still landlines, and this stuff. So what it feels like to me is you've got two rats on two sinking ships, and they're just trying to get onto a life raft together.
Well, it is that time where companies start to merge to try to save themselves. And, Time Warner and AT&T saw an opportunity to merge, and they did. And then, of course, that gave Comcast like this vision of, well, maybe I should merge with a company. And it couldn't have come at a worse time for them, too, anyway, because a couple of weeks ago, they had that big outage across the United States, a nationwide... Comcast. And, it's like, you should really be focusing on your business instead of trying to sink all this money into a deal that's already being done by someone else. Now... this is a great segue because it leads into Fox and Disney, which leads into dun 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 Star Wars. I know you just thrilled to death.
This just is never gonna die.
It's never gonna die because even at that, because we're looking at the next Star Wars movie is in next year Christmas time. So all that time. And then plus they're opening a Star Wars themed part of the park at the Disney World. I think in Disneyland will ultimately have it too. I'm not sure. I'll have to check my notes. But yeah, I have been, I will admit there have been some YouTube channels that I have been following. Geeks and Gamers with Jeremy. Comic Artist Pro Secrets with Ethan Van Shriver, I believe is his name. Last name, and I apologize if I butchered it. But I have enjoyed both of those channels' content because it has really kind of driven the point home about this whole Star Wars thing. And now I know you've gotten sick to death to hear about it because I have been like every moment just when something new comes out watching.
There wasn't this kind of furor when, let's say, the last movie came out with the original Star Trek cast, or now there was some with the TNG cast with their movies, but there was no such in that franchise. There was never like, oh, they're ruining the franchise. I don't recall any of this hullabaloo.
Axanar?
That is TV.
And
We're talking about movieverse.
No. Axanar, I think, directly affected the movie universe part of Star Wars and
Star Trek.
I mean Star Trek. See, I was trying to keep it on track, but anyway, Trek now basically has all these rules that you can't make a fan film no longer than X amount of time, and I mean it's just really crazy the amount of rules. And before then, when they were doing all this, a lot of people blame I guess could you really call Star Trek Beyond unsuccessful? Because it didn't.
It's hard to say that because I liked it so much.
It was good, but a lot of people,
better than the last two.
A lot of people saying that the success of that show was not as good as it could have been, and I think it was partly due because of all things that of what was going on with beating up the fans. And then, which is kind of funny, you have J.J. Abrams coming, hey, look, don't worry about this. This is all going to be solved. And
Abrams,
blah, blah.
that directs in both worlds.
He was dealing with Star Trek Beyond at that time. And then, of course, now he's a part of the Star Wars universe, and which he's going to be directing supposedly the final story. Which is going to be, a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen on that. Now, the big beef right now is, you've heard the term social justice warriors.
Yes.
Now,
although that has a new meaning now that we live in the world of social media.
Right.
That term's been around a while.
Right. But it's kind of like been identified with people that who want to inflict their own, I guess, how can I put it? Ideals and stuff into things.
I would put forth there's also the social justice idiot. So
now, as well as everyone else knows that have been listening to the show for some time, how do I look at women?
Like they're awesome.
Well, that is true. Women are awesome.
And that they can do anything and they're equal.
Exactly. You made a great...
I would not be with you if you thought anything less.
Do you think that I'm some man baby in a cave living in my mother's basement, and I hate these women out there that are trying to take over geekdom?
No.
Okay,
no, not at all.
I'm glad you appreciate that. I'll give you a cookie later.
Giving your salivation over Wonder Woman?
No. I love the Wonder Woman.
I love the woman.
But it really gets my my goat here going, and so I just don't understand. When I wanted. Okay, let me back up here for a second. Star Wars represents to me a good story. A journey, if you will.
Well, it's based on The Ultimate Journey by Joseph Campbell.
4, 5, and 6, definitely based on the
hero's journey.
Hero's journey, exactly. Even 1, 2, and 3, some people give it a bad rap, maybe because of Jar Jar Binks. Whatever. And it's really kind of telling, if you believe some of the theories, that actually Jar Jar Binks was actually a Sith, but that's a different story altogether. 1 through 6... there wasn't really, in the earlier 1, 2, and 3s, there was a little bit of politics, but, they were dealing with the Senate and everything, the politics of running.
The politics of that world.
Exactly. So I really didn't have a problem with that.
Our politics.
Yeah, and now you have the politics of the here and now. And quite frankly, if you're into robots, hey, good for you. That's great. And when I say into it, I mean, I guess I could just deal without that, because to me, certain characters, the things you can't see behind the camera and behind the mic, I don't think it's right. Well, let's just do this. When you still haven't seen The Last Jedi, but in The Last Jedi, they made Luke.
Can I see it?
Yeah, I've been hoping that you would see it so I could... we could talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
Anyway, and I think it's been a year since it's been out. So, well, no, it came out in Christmas time. So, you'd have to wait until 2019 based on how you watched The Force Awakens.
Well, then I'll wait till it gets closer.
Anyway, so they really made, you know, in the New Hope, in 4, 5, and 6, Luke was very optimistic, and he was, he became this great Jedi by the end of 6. Well, flash forward when we finally get to see Luke as he is, now, he's like this washed up, sad old man, and it's.
What happened to him that just crushed his spirit?
Ryan Johnson. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, thank you. I'll be here all week.
So
Ryan Johnson, and I appreciate. I'm getting the wrap up. Which side should I take the Academy Award? So I guess what I'll do is I'll wrap this up for right now, and I hope that our audience will do some research. But don't think that I'm not going to bring this up again because one, we haven't seen the end of Kathleen Kennedy, who's over Lucas film. For Disney, and a lot of people want her gone. And then also Ryan Johnson, if he expects to do a movie after, actually he's talking about doing new movies after the Star Wars that ends now, a new trilogy. I'm not going to go see it. So anyway, that said, that's my Star Wars stain, and I'm sticking to it while she takes care of some nose stains over there.
Snipplies.
What else you got on the docket?
Well, I had given up on this because I didn't hear nothing. But turns out Marvel's Black Widow movie finally has a director. I had given up on them exploring her story because it feels like they did everybody, and now we've got Infinity War. I'm like, well, isn't it too late to talk about her when we've already got half of them disappeared?
Do you think it would have been more of an impact if they had done her before Wonder Woman?
Yeah. They had a chance to really blow things away with showing how to handle a strong female lead and make it interesting. But maybe they needed Wonder Woman to show that you can have a successful movie about a woman that is strong and doesn't compromise or, appeal just to sexuality to make a buck. Mm-hmm. And, maybe we had to have her first so we could get Black Widow. But, Kate Shortland has signed on to direct the long overdue film. I'm hoping that is a woman because I don't know if Kate, C-A-T-E, that in this time of day, you don't know.
In fact, I'd heard there was like this somewhat controversy that why does it necessarily have to be a woman put in to direct a woman movie?
Well, it says here they met with 75 directors.
Really?
To find the ideal candidate.
And when I say, why does a woman have to direct a woman, I'm more in the lines of, why can't a woman direct just a regular movie? Or why does it even have to be brought up that, hey, it's a woman directing, period. Here's a qualified candidate who can direct the film.
I get what you're saying about that, but we still live in this age where, the young ones coming up might need some inspiration. You're like, well, hey, you like movies and things. So-and-so directed this.
Right.
Don't think you can't do it.
No, I'm all for that, but why couldn't we have some woman direct like a Thor movie or
here's
or
your
Captain
answer
America?
for this particular thing.
All right, I'm getting my
Johansson personally advocated Kate Shortland. She wanted her.
Good.
So there you go. That's why.
I'm kind of jazzed. I've been wanting to see a Scarlett Johansson movie as Black Widow for some time.
But there is the Captain Marvel that's coming.
True, but...
First female-led Marvel movie directed by Anna Bowden and Ryan Fleck.
I still think that's kind of pulling the rug from Scarlett Johansson because she's been up there with the boys, fighting along with them, and, I feel like...
Well, maybe she's had all this time to percolate, and they can have a really good script, a really good director, and a really good, story. Because her backstory is pretty sad and dark. Because she was this Russian thing, and they screwed her up to where she was sterile, I think, and couldn't have children, and Anyway, I there's plenty there. I don't know her whole backstory, just what's been alluded to. I'm sure the comic books go into that, maybe.
So speaking of movies, recently, I guess your brother did mind trick on me.
Actually talked to my brother for like 45 minutes on the phone.
And he suggested what?
To buy a movie pass card. Now, he did it because there's 4 people in his family, his wife and my niece and nephew. And it cost him a buttload to all go to the movies. So he had to buy a movie pass, which is, you pick, there's 2 tiers. There's an $8 and a $10. And with a $10 one, you go see however many movies you can in a month. And you just pay $10 and you reserve your movie. So you've already paid for your movie for the month, or movies, rather.
Right.
The $8 one lets you see 3 movies a month, I think.
But the $10 is unlimited. You could see unlimited amount of movies that you
at participating theaters.
Exactly. So I broke down and got the pass. I thought it was a good deal, considering that you've got all these Marvel movies and Disney movies that are coming out, and I thought, well, this would be great to go and to see them. And then plus, in the old days, I will admit, I used to work at Blockbuster Video as a manager, and I used to watch everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And it was just because, part of the job, you wouldn't, if somebody came up to you and say, hey, what can you recommend? You need to recommend a movie or something. So, that is why I've undertaken this movie pass, is because it allowed me to get out there and see a lot of these movies out there. And so what's coming? You guessed it, movie reviews from Spaceboy. So expect that in the near future as we move forward, and just about everything. So there will be some nights I'm sure Surlana will appreciate, because I won't be bugging her so she can actually read a book. But then there are going to be some nights, I guess I think we both want to see Ant-Man, right?
Yeah, I'll
Ant-Man
go for something to do, but I'm like, I'm not dying to see it.
I mean, we still are going to see Kroll, aren't we?
Oh my gosh, I'll drag you out by the ankles, which I don't think I'll have to do.
No,
but we are going to see Riff Tracks Live Kroll. They're going to make fun of the movie from the 80s, Kroll. And they've never done it before, and that's going to be freaking awesome.
That's
next month.
That was, it's not.
That is a Fathom event. Fathom Live event.
I can't describe it. It's not a great movie, but it was a great movie as a kid.
It was a B movie.
It's one of those movies when you were young, it was like, oh, wow, this is freaking awesome. And then you get old and it's like, okay, how did I see
Well, you're a kid. You don't know any better.
I know, but still, it's kind of a bummer. I tell you what, here's a good movie. Xanadu.
Yeah.
As a kid, I loved that movie as a kid. The music was cool. Gene Kelly was in it. It had Olivia Newton-John. Plus, it definitely had an 80s look to it at that time. But now, you go back and you watch it, it is so hard to watch. Unless you cut the segments out of the music part, and watch just that, because the acting beyond that is it's terrible. Yeah, what is that supposed to mean? What?
It doesn't age well, because we just live in a time now where musicals are not. I just don't think they're appreciated, and I don't know, unless it's on Broadway or something.
I was going to say like Rent.
Not talking about
Wicked.
musicals that never went to Broadway, that went straight to movies.
Well, interesting enough, they took Xanadu and put it on Broadway. I don't think it lasts long, but to each their own.
I think it had to do with the whole it came out in that era where they were trying to actively kill disco. That didn't help.
What, New Wave was killing disco?
No, DJs and rock people were trying to kill disco.
That didn't come until like the late 80s, like 90, like on the verge of 90s when they killed.
Remember when they went to stadiums and burned disco records?
You are right. I do remember. I can't remember the documentary I saw where they were burning all those disco albums.
And what's funny is that basic disco beat never went away. It's in everything now. It's in almost all pop music. You can't kill it.
There's something,
beautiful about that.
You can hear it in a lot of modern music.
Pet Shop Boys definitely have it.
Well, they do have some of it, yeah. But I'm trying to think of like Bruno Mars. Definitely captures that. Daft Punk is a big fan of that.
They
70s.
rip it directly.
Oh yeah. It's just like they sample right off the records, So, but yeah, some of those groups they there is that nostalgic factor of the 70s. Who doesn't like a guitar part? That's
part of it. That's 70s, but yeah. So that's all well and good, but we don't have an iPad. Well, at least one that doesn't work. We don't have one that works. I almost wish we did have one, because maybe next year Adobe might bring a full version of Photoshop to the iPad. Can you imagine just being able to use your fingers to draw things or a stylus to just... That would be so much fun.
Well, I think Samsung has a tablet where you could do that. I mean, not necessarily Photoshop, but
no, I want Photoshop.
They had a program where it was a very nice program where you could use a stylus and a pad and to do artsy fartsy stuff like that. But I understand where you're coming from. But I
already know Photoshop.
I know you know Photoshop. What I'm saying is that the iPad would be great. And maybe we'll see for Christmas what comes down that way.
Well, I mean, it's not like, oh, got it. I'm just like, if we had already had one, that would be nice. But I really don't know that we could justify getting one. What we would need one for.
Justify? Who needs to justify something?
You're not into justifications for purchasing technology. So
I mean, just look around us in this room. I mean, how much technology is in this room alone in our studio? I mean, we've got I'm looking around, and 1, 2, 3, at least 3 desktop computers in here that are running, and countless other devices that, make us sound bassy. Because it's all about that bass.
I told you this, and you said, "Well, I already know about that." So I'm gonna look into this a little bit more. But RoboCop is coming back again. This time from District 9 director Neil Blomkamp. So I asked you, is this in the universe of the first one or the remake? So I'm thinking this is from the first one.
It's in the bloodline of the original series, not the one that was updated.
Verhoeven's.
Yeah.
87.
Yes. So from what I heard, expect a lot of what you loved from the original series to be in this particular movie. And it's not a reboot. I think it's like a continuation. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes along. Hey, Surlana, look at that. Look at that time. Time flies when you're having fun. Hey, I just want to remind our Space Cadets, we are supported by listeners like you. That's right. If you get a chance, head to our website, spaceboyuniverse.com. Click the donation button on either side. Become a subscriber. That's always cool. That way we know the money's coming in to cover the show. Or if it's a one-time thing that you can contribute, that would be awesome, too. What, did I miss something? Okay, yeah, but what?
You didn't want to mention your free...
tonight, thank you, Surlana. I appreciate that. I was getting ahead of myself. So go to the Spaceboy Universe site and click the donation button. Any little bit you can do counts in large amounts. And speaking of large amounts, recently I've been on this trip of doing covers lately, Surlana.
Yes.
And so I want to give everybody an opportunity that's heard some of the covers on my Facebook wall to go to spaceboymusic.com/covers. That's spaceboymusic.com/covers. There you can download some of the interesting covers that I've done recently. And, and as always, they're free. I don't charge, especially for covers, because, it's other people's music. I can't, but at least you get the chance to hear me. I like to do it for fun, make sure that I can sing, which some people think I can, which is cool. So there you go. Covers. Check it out at spaceboymusic.com/covers. And Surlana, I think you're going to put that in the chat.
I just did, yeah.
Coolness. All right. So on that magical note, let's go ahead and take our break. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the Rothschilds. So don't go anywhere.
This is Patrick Scott Spore, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
This is author Gordon Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe. Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
Welcome back. I'm Spaceboy, and across from me is the lovely Surlana. We are here every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Just wanted to remind the folks out there, all the new listeners that might be joining us, we've seen an intake, a tick up, if you will, Sorry, I'm jumbled. It's been a week off. I mean, it's amazing how these things is really. But I just want to say howdies to all the new ones that are coming in, and howdy to all our hardcore space cadets. Just a few shout-outs real quick before we start the program here. As I want to say hello to Soloris Blue Raven. Hello, Beverly. We will be opening the phone lines up a little bit later this evening, so you can make our marriage kind of keep together. Let's see, what else do we have? We have Ty. We have even K28 decided to show up.
So you're just going to ignore Bob, huh?
I was going to get to Bob. He said something funny that I can't remember what he said, but
of course there's the egg.
Oh, he doesn't like disco, Bob, and I just.
Well, see, I mean, I knew there's some off about Bob anyway, so I'm not really shocked about that.
So it is what it is.
And of course, Yeg, who with K kind of set this precedent of either being first or second into the chat.
Mm-hmm.
He was late tonight, so I told him he had to wear the clown pants of shame. So I'm assuming that's what he's doing right now.
Real quick again, thank you, Soloris. I'll let you know later, Surlana.
I'm sorry to say this right now, but could you turn yourself down in my headset?
This is why
I'm so sorry. Well, it seems like you just got louder.
Well, it's probably
That's better.
There. Okay.
That's
all
better.
right. So anyway,
it's resonating.
All right. And of course, we want to give our love to the Canadians up north, especially Dennis and Ty. We love you guys. We do. It wouldn't be a world without you guys. So we appreciate all you do up there in the Great White North. Anyway,
appreciate you being up there and being Canadian.
Yeah. So anyway, tonight, as always, how these things start off is at some point during the week, you say, I want to do a show on, and so you decided that you wanted to talk about the Rothschilds.
I'm trying to think, is that true?
No, it usually is when,
I'm trying to think.
Because I say, hey, what are we going to talk about?
The problem, as always, is you and I have 8-hour a day jobs 5 days a week. And there's just not enough time to do the level of research I would really like to do for these topics. So that's why it's so much easier when we have a guest.
Mm-hmm.
So we just talk about their stuff.
Speaking of guests, I know this is sidetracking.
Yeah, I know. We're excited about we will have guests.
Yeah, we've got guests lined up for the next 3 weeks.
We've got guests out the wazoo.
I just, real quick, we're going to have... Dave Cruz is going to be on next week.
It's been a long time since we talked.
Yeah, so it'll be nice to talk to Dave. Yeah, so and then plus we got another few. You got, I think, a musician in there. We've got that's something else I'm working on. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
You've got a producer, a film producer.
Yes.
I'll just call him that, lack of a better title.
And then we've got
a local
VR.
A lady who works at a local virtual reality place.
It's owned by women.
Owned by women. Exodus VR is here in Houston. It's owned by women, run by women. She's a woman, and she's going to talk to us. She's got more going on than just
VR.
Being a business lady.
That's what caught my interest in her.
She likes us.
Yes. So
can you believe it?
So between that and then, like I said, I've got a few other things I'm working on that will have more guests. So I'm just excited
every Saturday from now till August 4th, we have a guest.
Now, I've been diverging you from the actual topic of I'm just excited because
teasing is acceptable.
Well, I figured I needed that day off to kind of like focus on what we need to do.
I just feel like there's more to this topic that I can cram into this time frame.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Surlana. So
I'm just saying there's more than I have here. There's a lot more out there, and now we're gonna have to talk about some of the boring back history because you need to know where all this came from. But I know that you're here for the juicy stuff, so I'll try to find you some juicy stuff. But a lot of this stuff is not 100% verified.
Okay.
So keep in mind, as always,
it's fake news. That's what I'm telling you. It's fake news.
As always, if you're interested, do your own research and go to as many different sources as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we talking about? We're talking about the Rothschild family dynasty. So let's talk about where they came from. Amschel Moses Rothschild. Well, his name is actually Amschel Moses Bauer. And he is descendant of, this is in Frankfurt, Germany. He, as I said, the Rothschild is not their real name. That's not their family name. Amschel Moses Bauer was a goldsmith in 1743 in Frankfurt, Germany. Now, he had a son, and I'm going to call, I don't know if they call him Mayer or Meyer, because everywhere I looked, it had M-E-Y-E-R and M-A-Y-E-R. So we'll just call him Mayer. So Mayer learned everything he could about money lending, the money lending business and finance, because he just really liked it. So when his dad, Amschel, died, Mayer went to work in 1755. He went to work for this family called the Oppenheimer family. And maybe that's just a common name over there, but it made me wonder if those are the ancestors to Robert Oppenheimer. It could be. So Mayer had this good job and he advanced quickly. So when his dad passed away, he went back to Frankfurt and he bought out his dad's business. So he noticed that there was a red shield over the door of the business. So Amschel, his dad, had adopted this shield as his personal emblem, which is where he got this was from the red flag. It's the red flag was the emblem of the revolutionary Jewish people in Eastern Europe, and I'll get more into that in a minute. So Mayer looked at that red shield and he decided to change the family's last name to Rothschild, meaning red shield. Now a dynasty has been born. Now, Mayer had 5 sons, and they're all in the banking business, and they spread to other international sites like Frankfurt, London, Naples, Vienna, and Paris. And the sons certainly built on their father's success.
That's around the 1820s, right?
Yeah, I kind of get into that. Now, these sons, some of them, not all of them, were legit aristocracy in the Austrian Empire. They got titles, or they held titles of equivalent to baron. Now, that's pretty low in the aristocracy, but still, they didn't all get a title at the same time. So how you know this is if you see, even today, if you see the name de Rothschild or von Rothschild as a prefix, that means they have a noble title. So that's your clue. Now, here's the dick move.
Oh my.
And this is not uncommon because you're dealing with the year 17 blah blah blah. Mayer Rothschild personally dictated that none of the female descendants in the family were to inherit any of their monies. You couldn't directly inherit if you're born into the family. This meant if you're a Rothschild daughter, you can't inherit your dad's wealth from your father or your mother.
Well, I mean, isn't that during that time period?
Yeah, it's just women are garbage. Yeah.
I mean, the first male born in a
women
family?
have no rights. No, it's nothing unusual for the time period. So, so when they got old enough to get married, they were disconnected from the family wealth, and they had to fend for themselves. So this is why so many of them married their cousins and did all that inbreeding and had freaky babies. So, you're growing up, you live like a princess because all this wealth and money. Then it's time for you to get married, and you're like, okay, you're done, get out. You can't have any money. So they would have to go marry their cousins, which again was not unusual for that time period. Goodness knows it's not just this one family doing it. All the aristocracy and royal people have done this back into the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. And we know better now why you're not supposed to do this for health reasons, but I'll just say ew. So for 200 years Rothschilds have intermarried among themselves. Ew. It's known as an avunculate marriage, where an uncle can marry a niece, an aunt can marry their nephew. Nathan Rothschild married his brother Carl's eldest daughter, so his niece. I know, it just gives you the creeps, doesn't it?
It's like, what?
That's why they're not terribly attractive. So, we're still talking about Mayer, the second.
Yeah, I was going to say, did we?
We're still talking about Mayer, the Amschel's son.
Mm-hmm.
So Mayer, he was supposed to be a rabbi. He went to school at the age of 10 in 1753 to be a rabbi. So it was after that, his parents died. He went back to Frankfurt and bought his dad's business.
Mm-hmm.
And his family says, no, stay in school, be a rabbi. And he's like, no, but I like money. I got to have it. So he left school at the age of 13 and went to be an apprentice at the Illuminati Oppenheimer Bank. I don't think that's what his name. I think that's conjecture right there. But so he worked at this Oppenheimer Bank for 7 years, learning the ins and outs. That's what I said. He got really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So he advanced there. I guess they promoted him. He was in a good situation financially and socially. So why did he leave all that and go back to this uncertain future in Frankfurt? Well, and while he was in Hanover, he made the acquaintance of General von Estroff,
mm-hmm.
a numismatist, whatever that is, who was impressed with Mayer's knowledge. And so this general left Hanover and joined the court of Prince William the 11th. It's IX.
Yeah.
11th.
X 10 and 1, so that makes 11.
IX.
IX.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. Is it I before X? Then that's 9.
9. Okay. Prince William the Ninth of Hesse-Hanau,
mm-hmm.
who's had the territory of Frankfurt. Now, this is important because he's got this. Now, Mayer's got this connection to this prince. So Mayer's got this connection. He would be able to do some business with the prince. And what ends up, he basically ends up owning the prince. Like the prince ended up giving Mayer all his money. So it appears when he was at the Oppenheimer Bank, he used that to establish himself in this Illuminati circle that got, and I'll get into that in a minute, got created.
Right.
And in a way to get into Illuminati royalty. And this von Estroff was the key. So this Prince William was tied to the Illuminati. This prince was the son of a royal family, of course, and he was a Freemason. His younger brother was accepted as the head of all German Freemasons. And the members of that dynasty have been described as leaders of strict observance, whatever that means. That dynasty was connected to the Illuminati.
So not to diverge, so I guess, are you going to make the connection of...
I'm trying to do it sort of chronologically.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure we do find that connection because I'm curious.
Okay. Now, the Rothschilds, of course, are starting to build. He's starting to build more and more. He's got these connections now. He's learning how to make money hand over fist. So they had great influence and power. And it wasn't because of their nobility or their aristocracy. It was because they can make bank. They can make it rain all day, if you know what I'm saying. But most especially in the 19th century. And in fact, the Rothschilds affected some significant events in our human history and, of course, profited from it greatly. And we'll get into what specific events in history in just a moment. So, the first thing they learned as a dynastic family is it's more profitable to loan money to governments than individuals. Because I guess that money's backed by taxpayers who got to pay it no matter what. So it's not too long after they figure this out that using this strategy that they become the richest family in the world at the time. And people say that Mayer Rothschild is the founding father of international finance because of that. Now, currently, you'll hear people say, oh, they own 80% of the world's wealth. They're the most wealthy family in the whole universe. Da, 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 da. Well, that's not true. The family's wealth has diminished over time. They're only net worth about $5 billion And that's one of them. He's an English Rothschild. He's only worth $5 billion. Oh, boo-hoo. And then there's another one who's only worth $20 billion. I will cry for that person every night. So they say they control somewhere in the area of 550 trillion US dollars, which is roughly half the money's world circulation. But it turns out that's not true either. That's been debunked because there hasn't been $550 trillion out there. The most we've gotten up to is $250 trillion in 2015. Mm-hmm. So the Rothschilds family has amassed a great deal of wealth since the 1700s, but they claim to have a net worth of $500 trillion or 80% of the world's wealth. For one, the world's total wealth was estimated to be 250, so that's way below. So they couldn't have had
250 trillion.
So they couldn't have had 550 trillion because there's only 250 trillion in the world.
Well,
in 2015,
it makes me wonder if they're referring to actually dealing with cash money and then you deal with property assets and stuff like that.
Well, half of what the Rothschilds alone are claimed to possess. So in 2015, the Rothschilds Group's annual review was approximately 500 million with an M. In comparison, the world's largest company, Walmart, has an annual revenue of nearly 500 billion with a B. Mm-hmm. So they don't have as much money as Walmart. That makes sense to me. So,
but yet they have international clout.
Yeah, they've got their fingers in things behind the scenes, which I'll tell you in a minute. Mm-hmm. Now, when I was doing this research, something that kept coming up over and over and over and over again is the family's religion. And I'm trying to think of what are they trying to say by bringing this up over and over again? Well, I've heard all my life, maybe you out there listening have heard this, like, oh, well, the Jewish people own most of the world, or they own Hollywood. Da, 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 da. Well, I'm thinking maybe this is trying to explain it. So, the origins for the Rothschilds' religion, which is Judaism,
right,
is saying that they come from a group of Khazarian Jewish people from Khazaria. That's Khazaria, or Turkic people. Mm-hmm. And so I did not know what that was. I have never heard that. I had to go look that up separately because I'm not going to sit here and tell you about something I don't know and not explain it. So the Khazarian people came from Central Asia and they adopted Judaism among other religions too. It's not just Judaism. They're also known as Ashkenazi Jews. Mm-hmm. I don't know where that word comes from. But they say Ashkenazi Jews are what most Jewish people are today. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, why do they keep... Okay, so what is the deal? Is it just because that's the most popular brand of Judaism out there? Mm-hmm. Or is it controversial because these Jewish people are not from the Holy Land or the Middle East? They're from outer Mongolia and Georgia, the country of Georgia, which is just above Turkey. That's what I was trying to remember.
Well, yeah, but I was going to say Ukraine because that's actually north. But Georgia is kind of to the right. So those people adopted Judaism. They weren't born into it, or so you call it biological. So, but I'm trying to figure out what is the significance of that. Why do they keep bringing it up every time I go to a site to research this? So. But this is what the Rothschilds were. Now, this particular sect has a tradition of changing their last name to suit whatever, and that's exactly what Mayer did. He changed their name from Bauer to Rothschild. So that's within, But, again, this is all just, back history. Right. So I don't know if I really want to start the next section. No, in fact, let's go ahead and take the next break here, Surlana, because it's good timing, and that'll put us right at the top of the hour. And so, interesting topic tonight that we're talking about the Rothschilds, the history, and a little bit about them. And so to bone up on your history and knowledge of the world. And we appreciate the Space Cadets tuning in tonight. So let's take that break, and when we come back, we'll have more with Surlana and Spaceboy.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Hey, Surlana!
What?
If Spaceboy Universe was cheese, would you eat it? Come on now, it's a simple question.
Maybe?
SpaceboyUniverse.com.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
Okay, are you crying over there?
Well, I was just shocked, but then the app updated, and now it makes sense.
Okay.
I was like, how can it be 94 degrees when it was only 92 at 6 p.m.? Like, no, it's actually 84 degrees.
Well, definitely felt the air conditioner struggling today while I was in the living room, and I guess you were passed out for your nap, or well, you weren't passed out.
No, I was not. I was having a headache, and I was just chilling for a minute.
All right, so don't want to start an argument. Hey,
there's no need to start an argument.
Surlana.
There's no argument material there.
Surlana.
What do you want?
Danger zone. Okay, so we're talking about the Rothschilds.
I'm so glad there's not the video camera on, because it would actually catch me coming over there and smacking you across the head. So we're talking about the Rothschilds. So here's the thing about the Rothschild family. We cannot verify if they were involved in the Illuminati, if they are the Illuminati, if they're part of the New World Order, or, you know, if they've manipulated things from the back end. But what we can prove is they made money, and we know where their money went. So let's talk about why people even bother to talk about them. Well, it's because they saw opportunities to make more money, not for the greater good, but for themselves. Mm-hmm. And when something would happen, they would get in there on it, and they'd say, So, you don't... Their philosophy is this. This is Amschel said. You don't need to be the king. You don't need to be the ruler of the land. You don't need to overthrow the government. Just control a nation's money, and you'll have all the power you could ever want. Amschel Mayer Rothschild made this statement in 1883. Well, actually, it's probably Mayer Rothschild, not Amschel, because I don't think he lived that long. So Mayer said, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." Basically, he's saying, like, if I control your currency, I'm in charge of your country. Doesn't matter who you elected, doesn't matter who's king, doesn't matter who's queen, and that is true. Mm-hmm. That is so true. I have a link here. It says, the timeline of the cray-cray. I'm going to have to click this, sorry. So anyway, I just don't have the time to read a book on any topic, but I can skim quickly. So one of the things I was skimming through, and I didn't even get that far, but there's this book on Amazon called Planet Rothschild, Volume 1, The Forbidden History of the New World Order.
Now you've got that music in my head. Planet Rock.
Really? What's that?
Africa Lambada? Or
I'm not familiar with that one. I know you're talking about Africa Bombata.
Thank you. I'm sorry I said that wrong, but
Lambada. I know their cover of Gary Newman's Metal.
Okay, so
which I enjoy.
I'll have to let you listen to that, but that's when you said
probably have heard it, but I can't.
Planet Rock.
I can't bring it up in my head.
Anyway, go ahead.
So anyway, so I skimmed through this book, and I got to thinking about what it said, and I got to thinking about the two shows we've done before on Bilderberg and on the shadow government in this country. So we've talked about the Council on Foreign Relations in this country. We've talked about the Bilderberg Group, the U.S. shadow government, as being the real brains of the New World Order. Well, be that as it may, it could be that they might be the puppets of whoever's controlling the money, which makes it go back to the Rothschilds again. This book also claims that the Rothschilds are the dominant force behind world finance, globalism, environmentalism, and liberalism, all the badisms. So that makes Mayer Rothschild the godfather of the New World Order, if that is true, if you want to accept that as gospel. Now, the Rothschilds use their money, their fortune, and lending skills to finance wars. For instance, the Napoleonic War, and they had some fingers in the Revolutionary War. So here's something I'm sure they must have taught me this in school, but it never really, till I saw the numbers in front of me. You have the American Revolutionary War, which occurred from 1775 to 1783. Now, right behind that, you have the French Revolution, which is 1789 to 1799, and I do believe they were inspired by us because they were trying to get free from a monarchy as well, like we were. So you got these two countries, one brand spanking new country under British rule, and then you've got this other country with a long established monarchy that Britain supports. They're both these countries are trying to revolt against their established ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the notion of to be free and independent of restrictive rule is really going against going against the grain of established order, which is something the Illuminati doesn't like. So during our first war, Nathan Rothschild saw an opportunity here near to the end of the war. This is the Napoleonic War, the French Revolution. You've got the French Revolution, and that's going on, with the Reign of Terror and Robespierre, and then here comes the power vacuum. Napoleon steps in. Just a quick, brief history. So it's still in chaos over there in Europe. So Nathan Rothschild saw this opportunity to make more money. He didn't support one side or the other. He was just like, oh, I can exploit this, So Nathan goes in there and uses money and, what do you call it? Never mind, my brain just shut down. So he uses money, stepped in and sent shipments of supplies that the British armies needed over there to Wellington. And he sent the equivalent of $10 million US to British allies that were trying to help out with, England. But it's not because he believed in the cause or that he was on England's side. And quote here, the legend goes that Nathan ended up at the London Stock Exchange and in a bid to cause prices to crash, sold all of his government bonds. Well, that sent people into a panic. Like, what's he doing? So, everyone else followed suit, believing that the Battle of Waterloo had just been lost, that Britain had lost and Napoleon won. Then at the last minute, Nathan bought all their government bonds back at a record low price. And I think this is illegal, isn't it, today? So when news broke of Britain's victory at Waterloo, the price of these bonds soared up, resulting in immense profit for the Rothschild dynasty. And now how he was able to profit from this, he profited from it 4 times. First, he made profit when he sold Wellington's, what did they have? They sold Wellington's paper. I don't know what that means. He made profit selling gold to Wellington. Wellington's leader of the armed forces for Britain. He made his third profit by buying the gold back from Wellington. And fourth, he made a profit again by giving the gold to Portugal. So he got rich 4 times in 4 different ways during this one war. So the Rothschild family realized that opportunity to gain control over the French economy in like this. So, okay, the war's over pretty much, or it's winding down. It's like 1820s when it ends. So in October of 1818, the Rothschild representatives began purchasing enormous amounts of French government bonds. This caused the value of French bonds to increase. So he pulled the same move, kind of in reverse. So in November, a fifth of those bonds were disposed of on the open market. It generated a financial disaster. The value of the bonds went away. So now the Rothschilds have financial control of France. That feels insidious to me. So that's probably why people are so quick to believe them capable of maybe of despicable or conspiratory behavior, or maybe they are part of the Illuminati, maybe they are the Illuminati, because they don't seem to have any scruples about how they make their money. So, what caused the American Revolutionary War anyway? Money. Or our lack, or our inability to be able to issue our own money. Because our money was coming from who? England.
Right.
Britain. Because they had a law saying we can't issue our own currency because, you know, they want to be in control. Of course, you know, tensions build. The British send troops over here. And they come over here to enforce the Townshend Act, which that act means that local judges and colonial governors have to keep control. So things blow up. Citizens become disruptive. Shots are fired. Some colonists are killed. Next thing you know, you've got the Boston Massacre and then the Boston Tea Party happening. And they're upset because the colonists here feel they only have the right to be taxed by their elected representatives, not some people way off in another country. So that's why the Boston Harbor became a giant tea kettle. And on a side note, I bet that smelled amazing. All those tea leaves in the harbor, it probably smelled really good. Especially if it was a hot day or something.
Tea.
Tea. So, meanwhile, while that's going on, we'll talk about your I'm going to talk about your sadness later. So while this is going on, you know, we're revolting and over here. May 1776, while we're trying to get our independence here. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's last name. I'm sorry. May 1776, a Jewish professor named Adam Weishaupt forms a secret order called the Illuminati in Bavaria. Now, the book that I was skimming through said most likely he formed this at the prompting of a Rothschild agent. So this professor creates this society, and he recruits wealthy elites into the secret society, calling themselves the Enlightened Ones. And what they try to do is infiltrate Masonic lodges. So I'm trying to get this through my head. The Illuminati and Masons are not the same thing. They're different things. So, but what they want to do with this Illuminati is plot to overthrow governments, the destruction of Christianity, and establish a new world order. And I'm thinking, this is all the way back in 1776. That's how long this idea has been around, to dismantle what we just created in this country. So it's like, as soon as they saw what we're doing, like, we've got to put a stop to that. I don't know if that was a reaction to us, and then what happened in France. I didn't see anything in my research that linked it directly, but so this guy does run afoul of the Bavarian officials with his little society, because Adam was sort of a radical. He had incendiary ideas, and so they had their eye on him. So the authorities disband his society in 1784, but the tactics they use are still working, as evidenced by the French Revolution. And as we know, the French Revolution was really bloody and convoluted and went on, far too long. As we know from the French Revolution, they boot out their king, and then the power vacuum happens, and here comes little Napoleon. Well, he wasn't little; he was like 5'5" or 5'7". We just think Napoleon's little because of those political cartoons,
right? And
he was actually average height. So here comes Napoleon. They had to beat him down twice to get rid of him. If you've never heard about the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars, I urge you to go check it out. It is fascinating. Maybe it's just me. But let me point out again, those 5 sons of Rothschild, the first 5, having received titles of nobility at some point, which means their kind of treated as royalty. Like, they're treated better than a regular person. They're of aristocracy. So again, we go back to this Prince William, who gives permission for mayor to hang a sign on his premises saying, M.A. Rothschild, by appointment, court factor to His Serene Highness Prince William of Hanau. So it's making his connection to Prince William public. So Adam became a Roman Catholic, or so he wanted people to believe, even though he was Jewish by descent. And the Illuminati was based on the teaching of the Talmud, if I'm saying that right, the teaching associated with rabbinical Jewish law. The term Illuminati means, keepers of the light. So this guy, he was very duplicitous. He was just doing what he could to, but during that time, kind of going back to Mayer's time, he married this woman called Gutless Schnapper. She was a daughter of an influential and respected merchant. So he had a second child, and his eldest son, he named Amschel. And he, along with his 4 brothers, they really did a lot to elevate the family. Of course, that guy Adam becomes the established Illuminati leader. And what he wanted to do is divide all the non-Jewish populace, or Goyim, which I've heard all my life. Mm-hmm. He wanted to divide us through economic, social, and political and religious means. So any way to keep us separate. So I'm thinking about all this. Here you've got this tremendously wealthy family who are Jewish, however they became there. They are. And this Weishaupt, also Jewish, although he said he wouldn't. And they have all this control and all this power. And it starts in the mid-1700s and goes on. Is this some of the fuel behind Hitler's upset? Because this family is right there from that area, from Bavaria, Frankfurt. So I have to. That's what I've enjoyed about doing Spaceboy Universe. I'm starting to see dots I never saw before, and I'm starting to see how they might connect.
Have you had your blood pressure checked?
No, I have not.
You said dots, so.
Okay, you're a complete weirdo. Anyway, as I said, they try to infiltrate these Freemasons with their Illuminati doctrine and establish their own secret headquarters. That is a whole other thing. I think we'll have to go into a separate show of what this guy was doing and why and how it affected other things. But just know that Rothschilds were always involved with Adam's secret society. Always. So, and as I said, this Adam was an Ashkenazi Jew. Although he said he was Catholic. It's probably just to, avoid suspicion or something. Again, I'm sketchy as to why that's significant, other than, from what I've said before. But this Adam Weishaupt is credited as the man who started the Illuminati. If you believe in the Illuminati, and if you believe, whatever they stand for. So now, going back to the American Revolution, we get our independence and we establish the notion that governments exist to serve the people, not to control the people, right? Radical stuff. That's revolutionary. It sounds like a miracle. We still believe it now. It's not really 100% working like that, but it's a great ideal to have. The notion that our rights come from God or a supernatural, not from the government. And we believe in a small government. We have rights. We have morality. We have a stable currency. We have respect for private property, minimal taxes. And it's our God-given right, which this really sticks in the Illuminati's cause, as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. Beginning with a statement, we hold these truths to be self-evident, onward, our Bill of Rights, Constitution, goes against everything that the Illuminati want. So, the two biggest incidents that occurred was the Boston Massacre and the Boston Tea Party. Who organized both of those events? The Sons of Liberty. And one of these people that was a Son of Liberty was Chaim Salomon. He was a Jewish moneylender. His fundraising contributions helped fund our war effort to the tune of $650,000. And in today's money, that is $9 billion. So America had no chance of winning the war. So he used money to help get what they needed. So that was another way they manipulated us. It suggested that the New World Order's mafia may have helped America just by weakening the British Empire enough so they could step in and control the American nation, not Britain. Because I don't know if they had control of Britain at that time. So we should take note that George Washington was a Freemason. And now we have the all-seeing eye on our money, the Great Seal, which is established in 1782. So you got to wonder, from starting when that Adam dude started that over there, and they had connections, they're like, oh, well, this America is about to turn things over. Well, we can't do anything really. Let's help them win, and we'll gain control of it from the money side. So it's just fascinating how they can control things
with money.
Just money.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, another thing the Rothschilds did that they can prove was their involvement in the independence of Brazil in the 1820s. So Brazil wanted their independence from their parent state, Portugal. So you got Brazil over here in South America, and Portugal's up there next to France, over in Europe. So, you just go back to history, like the New World was found, there's colonization, to get over here, you get away from your home country, and you start getting these ideas like, well, y'all are so far away, we're going to have to just take care of things ourselves. It seems logical. So everybody wants independence. And it's all kind of happening like within 10 years of each other, So they want their independence from Portugal. Of course, they have all these battles, go to war. The Portuguese agreed Brazil should be declared independent if they pay a compensation fee to their government. It sounds like Ferengis are fighting each other, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So the fee was 2 million sterling. And it was funded. Who paid the fee? Nathan Mayer Rothschild. There was also an agreement in place that Brazil takes on the debt that the Portuguese government had to Nathan's company. It's like, pay this fee, pay our debt, and you can be independent. I don't know if I've ever heard of any other fight for independence ending like, oh, just pay us and we'll let you go. That's weird. So obviously the Rothschild family profited greatly from this because they charged interest on all of that. Mm-hmm. So that's the initial big investment of the House of Rothschild. They had control over $300 million of wealth at that time. They started investing in railroads across Europe, provided financing to coal and ironworks. They helped acquire the Suez Canal. They financed it through Rothschilds by getting into oil exploration in Russia and the Sahara Desert. See, they have their fingers everywhere. They provided financing for Russian czars. They gave aids to Cecil Rhodes and his diamond monopoly, assistance to France to form their African empire. They gave financing to the Habsburg monarchs. Even the Vatican was saved from bankruptcy through Rothschild money. See, it's just here in the U.S., American and European agents from the Rothschilds also provided funding to Rockefeller Standard Oil, Carnegie Steel, and Harriman's Railroad. So you think that Carnegie and Rockefeller was like, dominating empire? Well, they were getting help from the Rothschilds. How about that for mind-blowing?
Well, it goes to show you that they're quite diversified in their holdings. And so if something happens to impact them, the impact is very, minimal, if you will. So they can continue their wealth expansion even if something hits them. Financially, that is.
Mm-hmm. But it's amazing how you could take something over, no shots fired. You're just like, you just go through, or you let somebody else do the fighting, and you just sit there and wait, and you look and go, if I give money to this, and then, it's just these little manipulations in the background. And they're still around today. So it's just one of these American dynasties that just fascinates me. Now, I'm not done with this, but we'll talk about, I guess we get back from the break, some of the conspiracies you may have heard over the years about them.
Well, let's take the break now, Surlana, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the Rothschilds.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt and Bot vs. Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot. You're terminated. Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
Welcome back. And Surlana has been doing the research, and she's been boning up on the topic. And, pretty interesting stuff, Surlana.
Well, it's more than I had ever learned before.
I always like to segue into this point where I get a kick out of you learning this stuff. Like, you say, well, I didn't know this, or I didn't learn this.
I'm not done, so.
Oh, yeah. But I just wanted to point out that when you do decide to do these topics,
I really do link things. I'm starting to link things together.
And I bring this up because, it's like, I've heard it over and over, churned it out because of the different media, whether it be coast to coast or whether it be
and you've heard this name
black,
your whole life on and off about the Rothschilds and the Illuminati and the New World Order. But you never really tried to sit down and put it together. Yeah. But when we do stuff on separate topics like the U.S. the shadow government, like I said, can't remember what we did now. But I can see how these are all connected. Bilderberg Group.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I do have a sinus headache. All my teeth are hurting, and sometimes it distracts me. But I can see how these are all related. I kind of feel like, what they're doing is like, well, this isn't working. Let's form this group or this society or this initiative. So they just have all these things out there going on all the time. Just a little sidetrack back to when I was talking about that Adam Weishaupt.
Mm-hmm.
He had a hand supposedly deeper into the French Revolution. French Revolution. I'm losing it. It says in 1784, he issues his order for the French Revolution to be started by Maximilien Robespierre in book form. So this means that Weishaupt wrote a book, sent it to Robespierre, and in the book, he didn't actually write the book. He had somebody else write the book. He dictated it. So the guy that wrote the book was Xavier Zwack. Awesome last name, Z-W-A-C-K. Gonna change my name to that. So Zwack sent the book by courier from Frankfurt to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
En route, the courier got struck by lightning, of all things. The book detailing the plan for the revolution was discovered by the cops of the day and then handed over to Bavarian authorities. So this is what got Adam running afoul of the Bavarian authorities, and they tried to break up his little, club. So they raided Adam's Masonic lodges of Grand Orient and his homes and all of his influential associates. The Bavarian authorities were convinced that that book was discovered was a very real threat by a private group of influential people to use wars and revolution to achieve their political ends, and they were 100% correct. So isn't that fascinating? Never heard of this guy ever. Have you?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. I'm just guessing. So let me just dip a toe into some of the conspiracies you may have heard. This is the juicy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Rothschilds have been linked to a number of speculative things like, oh, they do this or oh, they do that. Well, one I had never heard of before is the Rothschilds control the weather. I'm like, what? Okay, now, the finance and stuff, manipulating things through money, totally believable. I'm sure they have. But the weather? How is this possible?
Well, they have the money, and
yeah.
I guess if you have money, you can
do anything. So, this is what I read. Early 2011, this is modern times, people, 2011, some branch of the Rothschild family bought a controlling stake in something called Weather Central, which I think is just a provider of weather forecasts to hundreds of broadcasters. So where does your local broadcast get their weather from? Weather Central, probably. So, as weather becomes more extreme around the planet with greater human and financial ramifications, we believe that Weather Central will play a major role in mitigating the damage of improving lives. So, are they getting insider info on the weather before the rest of us do so they can profit? So, conspiracy theorists say they see that move of buying controlling interest as the Rothschilds wanted to control the weather. I don't think they're actually controlling the physical weather. Maybe they're controlling what's said about the weather and when. And so they'll be able to profit from natural disasters. This is one of the more bizarre claims. It's not proven. Now listen to this, though. Another claim was laid at the Rothschilds family right after Hurricane Harvey. There's this random YouTuber on YouTube that posted this lengthy video where she explained how the disaster all came back to the Rothschilds so they could profit. So I didn't see a link to that, but I'll probably go look into it for my own WTF purposes, you know. So here's another one. The Rothschilds have been said, allegedly, to assassinate U.S. presidents to create virtually every war since the 1800s in order to finance both sides. I don't know what both sides are, both political parties or both sides of the war. Some say the Rothschilds caused the Holocaust. I'll get to that in just a second. Others say they were the true power behind the creation of Israel. I'll get to that in just a second. They would and continue to do anything for money. In fact, the earliest, most influential of them, Nathan, claimed to have said, you know, I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money. Well, once upon a time, Britain had colonies everywhere. You know, they had America, they had Australia, they had India.
The sun never set on the empire.
So that's why they're saying the sun never set on the empire, because as the earth turns, it's shining on something they've claimed. Well, he's like, I don't care how many territories and colonies you've got, I control your money, so I control your empire. And you want to talk about, that's a ballsy statement right there. So that's definitely somebody that doesn't care about anything but themselves. Now, this thing about the Holocaust, let's talk about that. Sure, the Rothschilds were definitely around during World War II. They hadn't gone anywhere. So, the Rothschild family was actually affected by World War II because they had their wealth seized. It was taken from them. The Austrian and French branches of the family were hit really bad. They can only stretch the truth that they funded it in as much as their money was stolen from them to use toward the Nazi effort. So Nazi Germany devastated the Austrian Rothschilds because all their assets were seized, all their money. So what they had to do is some of the family members had to escape to the United States, but their money stayed over with the Nazis, including a number of their palaces, lots of their artwork. Boy, the Nazis had a thing for taking artwork. Banks' sizable assets became property of Nazi Germany. So there's only a seed of truth by saying they funded the Holocaust in as much their money was taken from them to do whatever the Nazis wanted to do with it. So I would let that one slide. Now, how many banks do they control? Well, I found a list of banks they control in every country in the world, every country that exists. And this is a web page listing, and it goes on forever. You know, each country having its own line, you know, and then you break and there's new. That's several scrolls. I mean, that's everything from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe, the A to Z. That's a lot of banks, people.
A to Z.
It's a lot of banks. Now, one biographer said about the Rothschilds, in America, a boy wants to become president. In Europe, he would rather be a Rothschild. To be a Rothschild is to be a modern Croesus, a 20th century Midas. They are a dynasty of enduring power, a magic bloodline in Satan's empire. There's more to that statement than I've got time to get into, in case you're wondering what that's all about. because there's a whole topic about just the bloodline of the Rothschilds. Now, that claim that the Rothschilds own 80% of Israel, let's look at that for a second. According to Simon Shama, they built the Israeli Supreme Court. The Rothschilds own Reuters and Associated Press, the two biggest media agencies in the world. They have a controlling share in the Royal Dutch Oil Company, and that company's been around for a long time. The Bank of England, the London Bullion Market Association, they foment wars and install presidents, dethrone kings, bankrupt nations, such as their power. I have a tendency to believe that statement. Now, they operate behind the scenes, and in the case of Israel, the Rothschilds supposedly engineered World War I and then waited till 1917 when Britain got in trouble with the war. The Rothschilds came in and promised the British government they could get the U.S. to enter World War I on their side as an ally. And they would ensure Britain's victory over Germany, yada, yada, yada. However, they wanted something in return. They'll help Britain, they'll bring us into the war as an ally, but they want Palestine. So the Balfour Declaration was created, which is a letter sent from the British government Foreign Secretary James Balfour to Baron Rothschild that said, His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. Again, stuff I was never taught. Doesn't that just open your eye right there? Your third eye, your big eye, the all-seeing eye? Now, the big problem with this is Palestine was never Britain's to give away. So what right did Britain have agreeing with this when they don't own Palestine? It's not their colony or anything. So rightfully it belongs to Arab and the Palestinian people who actually are there.
Right.
So the Rothschild Zionist Jews came in, took it over, forcibly evacuated, killed millions of Palestinians who live there, and they're still committing genocide today. Now, the creation of the Zionist State of Israel was massively unjust from the start and was conceived conflict all the way down the road. Now, let's go back and talk about how we said the Rothschilds were these Khazarian, they were they adopted Judaism. So they come in and take over Palestine. So now it makes sense that 80% of the world's Jewish population are actually from the Rothschilds version of Judaism. Now I get it. So Zion Israel controls the governments in the U.S., Britain, Canada, France, and more because the Rothschilds control Israel, allegedly. So it just all starts, I don't know, it's just like my brain is opened up and I'm getting all this information. I'm starting to connect the dots from other past shows and other topics, and like World War I and World War II, and there's more going on in World War I and II than just people upset about this thing that you think. I have to wonder what more about what Hitler's motivations were, other than just he was just a racist. What specifically? I mean, there's what we've heard in history that seems ridiculous.
Could it have been that
they had all the wealth?
I'm throwing this out there for Hitler. Is that because that as an artist, he when he was a younger man, he wanted to be a painter, an artist, I guess his instructor said, "No, you suck."
He takes over an entire country because he couldn't get into art school. Is that legitimate, or is he just certifiably crazy?
Well, I take your pick. I mean, but
he does that, but blames it on an entire nation of people.
How many stories have we read where you have somebody in a younger age, and things didn't go right, and so they become
same with Napoleon.
Spins out of that situation.
Napoleon has a similar backstory,
right? So.
But he was more of an opportunist. I just don't understand. Crazy don't make sense, I guess.
Yeah, don't just Kathleen Kennedy. There you go. Crazy just don't make sense. Tied it back to Star Wars.
Oh, God Almighty!
I know you want to slap me.
Anyway, so there's a lot more to this than
there usually is.
I'm telling you. I'm looking at the timeline. This timeline goes on and on. I'm trying to get to the. Here's something about Andrew Jackson. President Andrew Jackson, 1832, runs a campaign for second term office under the slogan "Jackson and no bank." Oh, remember that whole thing about establishing a national bank here? He was planned to take control of the American money system to benefit the American people, not for the profiteering Rothschilds. So he starts removing government's deposits from the Rothschild-controlled second bank and deposits them directly into Democratic bankers. Oh, this causes the Rothschilds to go ballistic. And they do what they do best, contract the money supply, causing a depression. So while they still had control of the money, they created depression. And our President Jackson said this about the Rothschilds: "You are a den of thieves, vipers, and I intend to rout you out. By the eternal God, I will rout you out." So they've not been beloved over time by everybody.
Oh, through history, they have been hated.
Well, so it says in 1835, an assassin tries to shoot President Jackson. Coincidence? Pistol misfires, and Jackson says later he knew the Rothschilds were responsible for that attempt. Again, never heard this. I was not taught this. Do you recall being taught this in school?
No, not at all. Except for the Andrew Jackson and the bank thing. I kind of knew about that, but that was kind of a brief little side post along the journey of history. But as far as being taught, but yeah, like you, we might have gotten a blurb about here was a group of the Rothschilds and they had money, and just like the other robber barons and the great captains of industry that we talked about before.
See, that all ties into this too.
Yeah.
It's really strange how everything is connected, and it freaks me out a little bit.
You probably even get to a connection with the Bilderberg group.
Oh, sure, because they're all supposedly involved in the Illuminati New World Order. So Jackson smacks all this down, right? And then he passes away, or he's no longer president. So the next president is John Tyler, the 10th president. He vetoed that act to renew the charter for the Bank of the United States. He receives letters threatening him with assassination. So it makes me think that the Rothschilds have had it in for this country for a long time, because they can't get exactly the kind of control they wanted. But
in that aspect of America is kind of a wild card, if you will.
But Mayor's wife said that if her sons didn't want there to be wars, there wouldn't be wars. But what we extrapolate from that statement is, because war is profitable for the Rothschilds, there's going to be war. They'll find a way to manipulate it into being. And this timeline I'm looking at shows you every little bit of activity they did to push this along so they get more wealth. Even Abraham Lincoln. He was our 16th president. He was assassinated. So he's president in 1861. He approaches the big banks in New York to try to obtain loans to support the American Civil War. And as these banks were heavily under the influence of Rothschilds, they cut him a deal knowing he couldn't accept 24 to 36% interest on loans. And he was like, Lincoln was, pissed off, as you can imagine, because of that interest. So he prints his own debt-free money and informs the public that it's now legal tender for both public and private debts. I don't think you can go around doing that. So, he gets $449,338,902 worth of debt-free money printed, and as you can imagine, this kicks things off in a bad way. So he discovers the Tsar of Russia was having problems with the Rothschilds as well, refusing their continual attempts to set up a central bank in Russia. And the Tsar gives the president some unexpected help. And they says that either if England or France are actively intervene in the American war, they will help the South. If Russia would consider such an action of declaration of war and take the side of President Lincoln. Again, never heard all that stuff.
Right.
So Lincoln says, look, y'all are having a problem. We heard that you were thinking about back in the South. If you would help us instead, the North, try to help each other out against the Rothschilds.
I mean, as we've gone along with doing some of these history programs, dealing with these different, Rothschilds now, the Rockefellers, the Morgans, and I mean
Carnegie.
Carnegie. Are you really that surprised now to see, why certain history was held back? I mean, for example, let's take Tom Edison, for example. I mean, not even dealing with all the stuff we're dealing with tonight.
He was more a businessman.
Yeah, but they made him out to be like the guy that invented all this stuff.
It's good press.
And at the end of the day, he really made his success off of the shoulders of others.
Well, let me. It's probably too early to give you this grand sum up about this.
Well, we're cruising to the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and take the break, Surlana. And then I guess when we get into the new hour, you can sum it all up and put the cherry on the top. And I'm sure some of our space cadets would like to call in, and we'll open the phone lines.
I'll get connected during the break here.
So don't go anywhere, anybody. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Surlanus Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
All right. We're going to open up the phone lines very shortly here. 833-202-7286. But hold off because Surlana is going to...
Oh, it'll take me a second.
Put the, the whipped cream and the cherry on the top of the conversation tonight. So I hand it back over to you, Surlana.
Well, you're saying how all these things come together with those different families and dynasty. Well, what's the thing? What's the deal with the Rothschilds? They like making money. They like having money. So what is wanting to have money? Greed. And think about some of the other shows we've talked about. We talk about, ufology and are aliens real? If they're real, what are their motivations? Mm-hmm. Are they here to help us? Well, they can't help us because we can't go to the higher state of being. We can't help ourselves because we can't we're so locked into this life of you get up, you go to work, you make your money, you pay your bills,
the great
and
why?
Because of somebody's greed. Mm-hmm. And they, it said in the Bible, money's the root of all evil. Well, why is it the root of all evil? Because of greed, because people want it, because they want this, that, and the other, things that don't matter. If you can go back and reprogram human DNA to take out greed, or maybe even, envy and all, if there's a way to get past that, past things, he who has the most toys, if there's a way to get rid of that wanting for stuff, or power, wealth, if there's a way to get past it, then we can evolve as humans, then we can ascend or get on with it. I say that as I've got my Amazon wish list that goes on for 18 pages. So I'm a hypocrite too. But basically, if we can get past that, we could defeat people like Rothschilds or the shadow government or the New World Order or the Illuminati. But we all have to do it. It can't just be a majority even. Because, every time you rise up and you establish a new order, there's somebody that's coming to go against it, even if it's for the greater good. There's always going to be, just that people like me that just like to subvert things because it's fun. It's just, I don't know what it'll take. And it's going to take? People aren't going to like me to say this. It's going to be a great reboot. And you know what that is? The apocalypse. So the earth will have to be rebooted and we'll have to come back in a different form after we've learned some lessons.
So this civilization is not going to make it.
No.
It's going to be hopes for the next civilization.
Yeah, so, we're all doomed. Make sure you get on Amazon Prime Day. And somebody's calling.
All right, well, does that wrap up your thing there?
Oh, that's good enough for me.
Okay.
Are you there, caller?
Hi.
Hey, Bev. How are you tonight?
Yes.
Can you hear her?
Oh, not too bad.
You not hear her?
Trying to stay cool.
Oh, don't I know it? I know you missed this last week, last Saturday. We had so much to do and we weren't feeling well, so we had to do a rerun. But
a best of.
Yeah. We were gathering, we were kind of regrouping, and so we could bring you tonight's show and all the cool guests that are coming up.
Cool. I know, it's an interesting show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot more about this family, this dynasty, than I have time to talk about, but they just don't. In fact, there's a movie that's been out for a long time, and it was a Kubrick movie called Eyes Wide Shut, and I think it's still on Netflix. Yeah. The content of that movie is based on one of these freaky-deaky Rothschild parties where they would dress up in these crazy outfits with these masks and these paintings, and Salvador Dali was there. I mean, there's actual photographs. I need to actually put that in the chat. Let me put that link in the chat so I can go look at these crazy photographs from the Rothschild Illuminati party. Let me link that right now. Y'all go check that link out, the photos. But yeah, that they're supposedly part of that whole weirdness.
Oh wow! It's just, and I've always thought that the Rothschilds, to me, they think they're above the law.
Yeah, because they probably own the law. Because they probably have the law's salary in their pocket.
Probably. And they're the kind of people that think that they're above everybody else.
Well, some of them are actual nobility, aristocracy, so they probably do think that legitimately. Even though if you've got a title in front of your name, that don't mean jack. Really.
No, it don't. I mean, you put your pants on the same way everybody else does.
Well, unless you have somebody put your pants on for you, then that's not the same as everybody else. You pay a servant to do that for you.
Oh, God. But, I mean, they just, I don't know. And they get their riches off of us people. I think they do anyway.
Well, Catalina just said reptilian bloodlines. That is a whole other topic about the Rothschilds, is their bloodline.
I wonder if David Icke gets into that.
Oh, yeah, he does. Because he talks about, I know Icke has to be, he talks about the reptilian bloodlines and the Illuminati and the NWO and I think it's all connected. Now, I don't know if the Illuminati is real, but I believe that there are people with money and power who have a motivation to dismantle things that we have now, like America, so they can profit and control even more. And they don't care who gets hurt, and they don't care how little you have. If that makes them even more wealthy, that's to their benefit.
Exactly. Well, look what Hitler did. I mean, he took from people that weren't even wealthy. Yeah,
he did a lot. He took.
And it's just creepy to think about that people could come in and just take what they want, and they don't care who they hurt or anything like that.
It's not just the Rothschilds. There's just people have been like that since humanity was, incepted. It's not a. That's just human nature to exploit, unfortunately, and it's not exclusive to one race or religion or background. It's if you're a human, it's within you, or gender. As long as you consider yourself a human, you've got this stuff inside you.
Oh, I don't think I could ever do that, though.
Well, that's good for you. Bob might have a different story about that, but
Bob has a different story about everything. But I mean, it's just scary to think about,
Well, I would never have delved into these topics if it weren't for the fact that we have a broadcast and we need content.
Right.
So I try to pick things that genuinely interest me enough. I have to go research a subject I just don't care about, and that has happened a few times because Spaceboy wanted to talk about something. Hopefully you can't tell which shows those were.
Actually, I can, because all the shows are interesting.
Well, if I'm not interested, then the research probably will be a little shaky, or I won't be as into it. But this stuff does interest me and scare me at the same time. But I like weird stuff. I really like weird stuff. And you know what else I love? I love a good story. Even if the story is completely fiction, if it's a good story, I want to know about it. I want to tell it. I want to tell other people about it. Now, was all this stuff true? Well, there's things they can verify because they can track the money. Now, is this stuff about the Illuminati and everything? I don't know. Again, if you really want to find some answers, take the time and do the research. Use DuckDuckGo to do your research so Google isn't tracking all this stuff and you look like a wingnut.
DuckDuckGo?
Yeah. DuckDuckGo.com is like Google. Oh, wow. It's a search engine for the internet, but it's 100% private and they're not tracking you. They're not tracking your IP. They're not tracking your keywords.
Cool.
I just installed DuckDuckGo as an app on my iPhone, and it's just a browser. It's just a web browser. So you go in there, you can't even open the application unless my thumbprint is over the home button. And then when you get ready to close it, there's a fire icon that says burn everything. So you hit the fire icon and it erases all your history of what you've been looking at.
Cool.
So
that's wild.
That's really cool. I really like it. I won't touch Safari almost anymore.
Oh, Safari, yeah.
Yeah, so...
well, and then another thing, too, is I thought was... the inter-family marriages. Oh, my gosh.
Well, yeah,
Can you imagine marrying?
Yeah,
Uncle?
but see... I used to read Regency romance novels for
Beverly,
years.
are you asking me or are you asking Surlana?
She's asking the universe.
Oh, okay.
Either of you.
Okay. So you're asking me what it would be like to marry my uncle?
Well, okay. What would it be? What would it be like if you married your aunt? Okay,
or your cousin? Yeah. Well, Bev, this is not exclusive to this family. People had been doing this, especially in royal families, for hundreds and hundreds of years, if not centuries.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They had this notion of you've got to keep your bloodline pure.
Bloodline.
Don't marry a commoner. But see, what they didn't know is the medical health implications of that. If when you breed your pure breeds, it's like dogs. Purebred dogs are not as healthy and strong as mutts because mutts have a diverse bloodline. You don't know where a mutt's fathers and mothers are. So they're actually a hardier breed being a mutt. Same thing with humans. You can't keep marrying within your bloodline. It's going to cause birth defects and deficiencies, and you're not going to be terribly attractive, Well, in fact, Jacob Rothschild...
I always wondered. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, hon.
Oh, sorry. If you go look up Jacob Rothschild, and it's out there, they'll show you there's a certain pose that they photographed him in, and then they put Mr. Burns from The Simpsons next to him. Mr. Burns from The Simpsons' look was based on Jacob Rothschild as well as his attitude.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Well, and, I always wondered, because I know royalty does it. They marry cousins, and that's even first cousins, and I'm like, what are their babies like? Are they normal babies?
Go back to your local museum and look at the paintings of these people. They don't look right.
Yeah, they don't.
That's why, Bev. Anyway, we're so glad you called in. We've missed you. I guess Bob, too.
I missed you guys last week. I missed Bob, too. Well, No. Well, I claim him when, I have to.
Understood.
Well, Bev, thanks for calling. We're going to move on, but we missed you, and we're glad that you were able to call in tonight.
Well, I'm glad I was able to call in too, because I missed talking to you guys last week.
Well, we'll be here for the next 4 Saturdays. Don't worry.
You say that to all the talk shows.
No, I only say it to you guys. That's because you're about the only one I listen to anymore.
Well, good. We appreciate that.
Awesome.
All right. Well, good night, Bev.
Bye, Bev.
Good night, Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
Good night. Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Man, she got me tickled there. Yeah. What was I going to say to you?
Well, I guess you've wrapped up the Rothschilds and the...
Let's talk about Spaceboy. Let's talk about Spaceboy's problems. I think I've mentioned this before, but it's gotten worse since the first time I told y'all about it. Okay. So let's say 4 weeks ago, maybe even last month in June, I educated Spaceboy about a number of topics he didn't know about. One of them was, most of you are aware that Starbucks has a hidden menu. I don't know all the items on it, but I've heard this. One of the hidden menu, and I think it's more well known now, is that there is a size above venti, but it's only for tea. It's not for coffee, although I have read a headline saying it's coming for coffee. But they've had this other size called 30, which is 30 in Spanish, but it's actually 32 ounces. You can get a 32-ounce drink of tea at Starbucks, but you have to ask for it. It's not up there on the menu. So, apparently this blew his mind. And he promptly went out, if not the next day, really soon afterwards, to a Starbucks and asked, could he have a 30? Now he's having like 2 a day. Oh my gosh. I feel like I've done some. I feel like I've sold him crack.
One, Vente pretty good, size.
Yeah.
But I'm a big boy, so I wanted that little extra. And when you told me that, it was like, oh, this is perfect. This is the proper. You're so wrong. And
you can't see what I'm doing.
The proper size for my drink. So yes,
the Guerrero gulp.
I have gone by and I've been getting the Trenta, and so on my way to work, I have been getting 2 of them. Once when I immediately start drinking, and the other one I put in the fridge at work, and then once I finish that one that I've been drinking on, then I migrate to the second one. And then usually after that, I've got this big thermos of water I drink. So, and so, yes, I have. And then more recently I found out, because I'd been getting tea. And I've been getting tea and noticed that, why does it seem so watered down? And so they water it down so it's not so concentrated.
Normally when you make your own tea, you do start with water and you put the tea bags in, so there's usually more water than there's tea.
Yeah, but
they're doing it the other way.
When I pour tea, I don't add extra water to it to dilute it even further.
Well, that's what they're doing.
I like my tea dark. And so I learned that if you say...
Earl Grey is supposed to be darker anyway.
When you say no water, which is kind of funny when you think about it, is like, yes, I want an iced tea... unsweet with no water, meaning that you don't want extra water added to dilute the flavor.
I would gladly give up the water if they would give me more ice. You would think there's a freaking ice shortage in this country.
I always get
They get a measured amount of ice. It's just never enough ice.
Well, my barista has always given me plenty enough ice in my cups, so I appreciate him for taking care of me. Not in that way, Surlana. So anyway, yes, I do have a tea problem. I've always enjoyed tea.
It's my fault.
I mean, it's just,
He told me the other day on the phone, it's like, I said, you've had 64 ounces of Starbucks black iced tea? Holy crap.
It's not 64 ounces.
32 plus 32?
It's not a 32. It's more like 30-ish.
That's 60.
Yeah, it's 60. So what?
Those 2 ounces just mean the whole world to you?
Yeah, those ounces probably is ice weight, and that I don't get a full 64 ounce.
The bottom line is you have a problem.
I could have a lot worse problems, and so
that's true. You do have some, but they're no fault of your own. But yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, I've been enjoying my Starbucks tea. It's been delicious. I've become very familiar with the staff at Starbucks. And, even one time when Surlana, I took Surlana to get tea one day or something like that, and it was not sweet or something. They were both unsweet.
Well, you went to the drive-thru and you said, I need one black iced tea sweet and one unsweet. That blew their minds, so they gave us both unsweet. They couldn't process that.
I pulled over, went into the store, and went to the little sweetening section, and the guy was like, "What? We didn't, do this for you? Oh, we're sorry." And I said, "No problem," And then I had my Rick and Morty shirt on. We started talking about some Rick and Morty.
That's why you're so long.
Yeah, and but you were on the phone with Dad, so there was no. I didn't think there was a big rush. But anyway, they were very friendly, and I like that. That is what I call good customer service.
They actually gave a crap.
Which, what gets my goat tonight is that I tried to order a pizza tonight from Domino's.
Can I take my headphones off while you talk about this?
What?
I don't care. I just lived through it.
The thing is that if you don't have a product at a store, then don't turn some switch off or immediately call me and let me know, hey, look, we don't have this product. Do you want to substitute it? Okay, if you don't, we'll take it off. Or in the case of Domino's, or I can even take you back when I worked for a pizza company, and I'm not going to go mention them because they've been in the news lately, and I'm not too happy with hearing about their news. But hold on for a second, I gotta clear my throat.
Let me clear my throat. You know that.
So they call me like, hey, we're about to deliver your pizza, but we noticed that we're out of Diet Coke. Can we bring you a 2-liter? And I'm thinking, no, I don't want a 2-liter. I want the 20-ounce bottles that are convenient because I can. I have a little bottle I can take with me and yada, yada, yada. So I told him, I said, if you can't get that, then cancel that part of the order and, bring me the pizza. Well, sir, we'd have to ring you up and blah, blah, blah. And, just making excuses. Now, I'm going to tell you what I used to do when I worked in the pizza industry is that, one, I always made sure that we had plenty of soda for our delivery. Plenty of product, because you're trying to sell stuff, you better be have your stuff in stock. However, for whatever reason, if there was a situation where we were out of, let's say, Diet Coke or something like that, well, we would run to the convenience store, pick up a couple of 20-ounce bottles or whatever to get through the thing. As a manager, I could write that stuff off and just make sure the customer was happy. Apparently Domino's at the location that I'm not going to mention, but they chose not to go the extra mile to try to, make a customer happy. And that really ticks me off is because, one, you're trying to sell something you don't have, and two, you waited all the way up until this point where, I probably would have considered something different if you didn't have everything that you were going to sell to me. And so that aggravates me beyond belief. So as a consumer, I don't think I'm going to be dealing with Domino's. I'm not going to be dealing with Papa John's either for the other reason that's out in the news. But, it looks like Surlana's going to get her wish. That we're probably going to be ordering from Pizza Hut soon. So congratulations, honey. You're going to get Pizza Hut.
Well, over on Uber Eats or DoorDash, California Pizza Kitchen will deliver.
Yeah.
And they're close.
Yeah, but
they're pricey, but
yeah, I was going to say.
You're not going to get any half-off deals there.
No, that's another thing that kind of made me mad was because the whole reason why I went down this rabbit hole was that Domino's had sent me a text message saying that, hey, we've got half off on our pizzas. I thought, well, heck, that's a great deal. Order a big pizza. We'll have some leftovers and eat them later. After the big show. But no, Domino's has failed, and so there we give them the goat noise. Sorry, Miss Michelle, if that scared your cat. but the goat rules. So there you go. My complaint about
goat is not
dominance.
associated with Illuminati.
Yes. So there you go. What else you got on your plate that you've noticed recently? Didn't you tell me something about? You told me something else, and I didn't know. Maybe it's a conversation I should. Yeah, you're laughing, man.
We can't talk about that on the air. It was more of an Urban Dictionary thing. I can't talk about that. There was another thing as well. You didn't know, and I don't think it was as.
No, we want to keep this clean.
Salacious. There was a third thing as well. You didn't know. I was like, oh yeah, that's this, and you're like, how did I not know this? I'm like, I don't know. You're on the internet as much as I am.
Okay. Okay. Everybody, deal with me for a second. I'm going to I'm going to mute us for 5 seconds, and then Surlana, tell me what that. What was it?
Are you sure we're muted?
I'm going to mute us right now.
Remember with PewDiePie?
All right. Yeah. Now I remember.
But there was a third thing that I don't think was as bad, and I don't remember what that was. I educated you on.
I guess in a roundabout way, I can say.
Do you like learning new things?
It was, on Twitch, you've got a lot of these streamers, these gamers, if you will, that are scantily clad, and they're like saying that, well, why are you calling me such a negative name, and, They're being accused of
legal porn, so to speak, because of their behavior and the way they're dressed, and they have the audacity to well, you're not supposed to judge me because my boobs are hanging out. Honey, please. There is one reason people are coming to your stream to watch you do that. Take your time and put your left butt cheek back into its shorts and put on something more appropriate. And, I mean, of course, we watched this whole thing on PewDiePie's channel. And there's a name for that, and I won't get into that right now. The name's not bad, but I just don't really want to get into that right now. No. But that's the name is what I educated Spaceboy on, because he didn't know that. I didn't know that. I think it's a type of video. Anyway, so this is like as PG as we can make it. Well, let me kick it in here. Is that the fact is that I'm a pretty worldly kind of person. I know a lot of things, and I just did not I did not know that, and so I was taught, and I felt when you told me the explanation of the word, it was like, okay, man, I am feeling really old because I didn't know the word, and so it is what it is. But I saw it by accident. Or else I wouldn't have known it either. Well, as an English major, I rely on some words that, like, if I didn't know, it's just kind of like boom, you knew it, and so it is what it is on there. But I secretly delight when I can explain something to you. But but it all comes back to, we've had this discussion before about these girls, and it goes into my thing. If it quacks like a duck, it has to be a duck. You don't have the right to complain about people judging you a certain way if you're up there barely clothed and you're like jiggling them all out and you're like bending over to everybody can see down your navel. You know exactly what you're doing. Exactly. I mean, and I'm blown away, especially with this hashtag Me Too moment that's going on with everyone, and I'm not going to feel bad for calling you something negative because you're trying to, dress scantily, and you're doing it for the ratings, or you're doing it for the money. There is another word that I know very well that applies here, but I'm not going to say it because we are a family clean show. Yeah, we're trying to do this, talk about this PG as we can, but don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. It is what it is, and so, like I said, take the time to put on some proper clothing, or have your servant do it for you if you're of the nobility. Exactly. So, but anyway, that's what I've got to say on that. So, with that said, Surlana, well, man, we've reached the bottom of the hour, and man, we are just cruising on. We'll talk more about what's coming up. Oh yeah, that'll be great. So we come back. Here's the break.
Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Get your game on Spaceboy Universe. Level up with Spaceboy Universe. No quarters, no problems. Play it at Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
All right, we're back. And just a reminder that the phone lines are open. That's 833-202-SBUN, 833-202... What is the 4-digit number?
7286.
Thank you. I need to put that on the board over there.
I was dying.
So, there you go. And so, what
that number is toll free, by the way.
Yeah, toll free, no cost to you.
So, want to talk about what's coming up in more detail?
Sure.
Or do you want it to be a mystery?
No, let's put it on the table.
Next Saturday, the 21st, of course, we'll have internet broadcaster Dave Cruz. We know Dave. You know Dave.
Mm-hmm.
We all love Dave. It's been a while. We want to see what he's been up to, what he's involved with. We're going to pick his brain on all of our topics because we know he's into probably all of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we could probably even talk about Star Wars.
That's great because I can catch up on my reading while y'all talk.
You'll have to dust off the old file and start grinding your nails down. And so, but anyway, I'm looking forward to talking to Dave.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
He had messaged me a week or two ago, and I thought,
that's nice.
Let's get.
Was he okay?
Yeah.
Was it looking for?
A bit. I'm not going to, pull the lid off the Pringles. We'll wait until he comes on, and we'll chat it up, and we'll have a good night with Dave Cruz. And he's a friend of the show, and you still hear his voice,
melodious voice
at the first break of the evening. So I'm looking forward to just chit chatting it up with Dave.
All right. So, on July 28th, we'll have a guest, Bill Lutz. Now, can you explain who he is and what he does and who he's associated with?
Sure. Currently, I am working on music for the Outer Rim projects, and one of the projects that's kind of being spearheaded by Bill is Sweepers. And so I'm doing music for that particular show, I guess you could call it show, yeah. And production. And so, we're going to bring Bill on, and we'll talk a little bit about Sweepers. And
it's a live action production. I guess they will probably release it on the web somewhere when they get done with it.
Of course, the Outer Rim, as many of you are familiar with the program, spearheaded by Jim and Jody Bray. Good friends of the show and good friends out of the show, and great people. And so
doppelgangers.
Yeah, yes, from Connecticut. So, but Bill will come on, and we'll get the chance to talk to him about, like I said, Sweepers, Outer Rim,
and your involvement.
I'm sure we'll talk about comics. We'll talk about the film industry.
You'll be doing most of the talking there.
Well, it'll be a fun night. I'm sure you'll have questions too, Surlana, as we go along. So another interesting, revved up evening of fun and conversation. So
that'll be fun because I don't think we've talked to him specifically. We've just talked to Jim and Jody, maybe a couple of their other producers.
Right.
So that brings us to August 4th. August 4th's guest, I'll tell you more when I know more, but her name is Dora Liz Ramos. She is from a local business, Exodus VR, which is a place where you can go and you can bring a party of people and you can all play VR games together in a cooperative environment and try to win. We experienced VR through Exodus, when we were at the Houston Maker Faire and when we were all together at Comic Palooza with Houston Maker Faire. So she's just someone we kind of got to know when we go to these conventions, and she seems to like us. She liked our T-shirt. We gave Exodus VR a free T-shirt that I had hand stamped, and she said she could do it for us quicker and better using our own stuff. I was like, oh, so we got to get hooked up with this lady. But apparently she has an interesting life and a backstory, if she's willing to share it with us. That what did she used to be, a marshal or something?
I thought she worked for the FBI.
Ooh, see?
So, I mean, it was one day where we were talking, and she was talking about the VR and how the store is operated by women, and we thought that was cool. And then all of a sudden, I worked for the FBI. And it was like, what? Wait. So,
Record scratch.
To be honest with you, this has been over a year in coming because, well, originally when we first met her, I was
Couldn't remember her name.
Tried to get her on the show. And then, we're excited to have her on. She's got a great personality, and I'm sure that
she's really interesting, really bubbly.
You'll enjoy. And so those are 3 shows that.
So we've got another broadcaster.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a filmmaker, and then we've got gaming topic.
And I'm in the process of looking at a couple more people that we'll probably book and just seeing what their schedule's like. And, the thing is that sometimes some of these people are kind of hard to get, but I am really working hard. And that's my due diligence is paying off with some of these guests. So, but you got to stay tuned now to see what's going to happen next here on the SBU. So,
and as always, if there's a topic you'd like to see us cover to see how we handle it, you suggest it. If there's a person or a group or somebody out there you'd like to have us interview for your own personal amusement, let us know. You could do that by sending us an email to contact@spaceboyuniverse.com.
Yes. So do that, Space Cadets. And once again, the donation plug again, if you go to spaceboyuniverse.com, you'll notice that there are 2 donation buttons. And we're kind of doing this now, because one, you tune into Spaceboy Universe, and even though we have like little breaks in between our shows, it's really not anybody
monetized.
It's not monetized. In fact, it's almost like
it's just free.
It's free. It's free.
It's free real estate.
and we don't want to charge anything. We don't want to put us behind a paywall or anything like that. And we try to.
And we don't want to sound like we're threatening to do it. But
no, but the donation buttons are there. You have 2 types of donation buttons. They're one-off donations, and then there's if you want to become a subscriber to help support the universe on a regular basis.
The left side is to do a one-time donation. You pick the amount, and the one on the left, and the one on the right is to make a recurring payment in the amount you choose.
Mm-hmm. So definitely consider
and we'll mention you on the air if you want us to thank you and virtually kiss your feet. Unless you'd like to be anonymous, let us know.
But anyway, we appreciate anything you can do because it is expensive to do it. And, we've been doing it for almost 3 years. And I think at this point I've come to the point where I really don't want to bring in, make it monetized in a way where we're pushing commercials. And, it just makes us freer to bring shows that where we're not told, oh well, we're not going to support you because of this advertising wise. Mm-hmm. So that's not to say that you might not see something on the website or whatever. And in fact, when you go to the main website, you'll see several people on there on that front page, and they are not paying whatsoever for advertising. It's all because we support those causes and we believe in those people, and we believe in supporting good people. So it is what it is. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Okay, did you just fall off the track there?
Oh, well, sorry. I just...
you
thought you were going to keep talking about that.
Well, I've said what I've had to say. I wish we had a tote bag or a book that we could offer.
You said you were going to give something away.
When did I say that?
Maybe I misheard you.
Wow, putting stuff in my mouth.
I swear to God, I thought I heard you say before the show, tonight I'm going to give away
the link to...
Oh, okay. Sorry, people.
Well, it is giving away music. So
sorry.
Let's
talk about that some more.
Let's bring this back up. So lately I've been doing covers, and I do this to test, my vocal abilities. And then plus it makes me better skilled at music production because I don't really work with vocal parts in my own music, because usually a lot of my music is instrumental. So lately I've gotten a few songs that I have uploaded, and you can check these out. If you don't subscribe to my Facebook wall, you can go to spaceboymusic.com/covers. Is it covers or cover? I'm sorry, I forgot.
I'll get it up there. You're going to cough, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm drying out.
And you just drank everything in that 64-ounce flask you have.
Yeah, but it's not tea. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Here, I'll do that. It is spaceboymusic.com/covers. That's good to know, Michelle. The shirt that she was saying is still holding up very well.
Yeah, I remember us sending her a complimentary shirt.
I could technically make more shirts. Now, they'll be the ones that we had at Comic Palooza.
Yeah.
But we could go get just a few, and I could stamp those suckers out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we could actually take orders for those, too.
Yeah. Of course, I would have to charge you an exorbitant amount.
What's an exorbitant amount, Surlana?
Let's see if the cost of the price of the T-shirt is X. Carry the Y.
Oh, okay. First off, she is really doing a great comedy routine because she hates math.
And if the paint is $10,
you know, how about we do this?
I would have to charge them at least $25.
What?
To make a profit.
You know, that's okay. We're going to need to talk about that because I think that's too high. I know you're.
How are we supposed to make a buck?
Okay, the thing is that we don't want to gouge the Space Cadets, but this is something we can talk about later. If they want to pay for premium shirts, then they can go to our Redbubble site, which has the cool Necronaut astronaut on it.
I'm looking into putting some products on an American-based site, which I can't remember the name of it, and that way people can order stuff and it'll be in this country.
Why do you hate Australia?
I'm just saying, I know why people would be reluctant to buy from Redbubble because it's based in Australia and it's coming from Australia to America.
Anyway, we'll chat more about the shirts. I just know I guess we're gonna get back into the swag business again, and we'll produce that.
Yeah, I don't mind making the ones that I made at Comic Palooza.
Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy doing those?
I
mean,
the time crunch was a little gave me some tension, but I kind of got into the groove because we were watching stuff, and I was sitting there beating on this thing.
Until we tested the making of those shirts, it was, because I had already thought, I got a stencil, and I had this idea of putting together something, and it failed. The spray paint thing on fabric.
That didn't work.
It did not work, and it wasn't until we got fabric paint.
Actually got fabric paint, and then we got the little sponge with a... stick on it.
That was your idea.
To pounce. It's called the pouncers. Mm-hmm. And then I just sit there and beat the crap out of the shirt on the craft table.
But I ended up buying a stencil from a company, and it worked out pretty good.
Let's back that track up for a second.
What?
You ended up having me design a stencil that you sent to a company.
I found the company. I had to do my research on it. Then I had to get you involved to create the thing. And that's when your involvement came in.
And that's when I have to call the lawyer.
And that's when you started the Snickers moment between us, where we get into a fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs. I say, old chap, occasion a round of fisticuffs.
I told you I was old.
It's clobbering time.
So anyway, but we got the stencil and everything, and we have another stencil.
We have another stencil, but it's too big for a shirt.
We might want to consider going and making it smaller and resubmitting it.
Yeah. It wasn't like break the bank expensive.
No, per stencil, no. It was very affordable.
Yeah, because the other one was the Necronaut space. It was the skull inside of the space helmet, and that's it. Just said Space Cadet on it.
It just needs to be shrunk down.
Yeah, it's just it's hard to know the size. It was difficult for me to gauge the size
it's
of
not that hard. It's just Surlana gets mad and I have to go away, and so that she can work on stuff. And
yeah, that's right, Miss Michelle. We're talking blood, sweat, tears, and a possible divorce proceedings. That's worth $25.
So no, we've gotten past that. So it's
no, we haven't.
It's less than $25. And anyway, I'll have to explain the matrix of pricing for you.
Where did that? I remember that. Is that Red Buttons Clem Kadiddlehopper?
What the heck are you talking about?
I'm reading chat. I know, it's weird. I'm paying attention.
Okay, you distracted me with whatever. So anyway, yeah, we'll work on some swag.
Yeah, I have this one site I'm looking at has, as most of these sites do, it's more than just T-shirts. There's other products you can stick your stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Redbubble has too. But I get that paying that shipping and handling from Australia is probably a little much.
Mm-hmm. Well, it would be much better if we could do it in-house.
Yeah, well, the only way we can do it in-house is the stencil, because we get the paints, and I've got that down to a streamline now.
I was prepared. I was prepared to buy that what is it, that T-shirt, the heat transfer thing, but you said no.
No, it's not
as good.
There was something up with it that I don't see how it could have been beneficial.
Okay.
It's not the heat transfer, it's the getting it printed to get on the paper. That's the part that's expensive.
Anywho.
They're wanting Bev to call in, disguise her voice, and act as marriage counselor.
Okay, so we're going into the last 10 minutes of the show, Surlana.
Like I said, recap. If you can donate once or several times, that would greatly help with the cost of the show. I'll work on getting some swag out there you can purchase. Be here next week. Be here the week after that and the week after that, because we're going to have some cool guests. Mm-hmm. And if you're good, you can call in and talk to them. Yes. We haven't done that in a long time. Now that we're back in the
studio thing. So that would be kind of cool to be able to take calls and talk to our guest.
K28 wants us to interview the CEO of Buc-ee's. I'd do it if we could get hold of him.
Okay. That's challenge accepted, right? That's what you're saying to
you make that happen.
I like how you threw.
You do that.
I got cake all over me because she's throwing her hands up in the air.
You made me executive producer. That means I executive produced that off on you.
No, executive producer does not executive it off their being the executive producer.
What is the point of being in charge if you can't delegate to the peons to do things? I am so tired of working in a job where I just get told what to do.
How am I a peon?
Well, you made me executive. So, but I have a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 job where I do what I'm told. I'm tired of doing what I'm told. When do I get to tell someone what to do? This is my only chance. No, I don't think Buc-ee's makes custom T-shirts, Kay. But the ones they do have are pretty cool. Kay, I wish you could go to the Buc-ee's up 45 North. They have got the best. Well, there's an entire side of that is nothing but gift shop with branded stuff. And they even have branded stuff that's branded with local universities here in Texas. So I wish you could see all the stuff they have. It's shirts, it's blankets, it's cups, it's stationery. It's actual little stuffed animals, like a toy.
They have different types of shirts, different colors.
Different colors. Things that I can't believe you can kind of get away with in public.
And we hooked up Kay with some Buc-ee swag. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But with Kay, I guess it's never enough.
The world is never enough. That's why he has to come to the universe. And
that's what's wrong with the world, Kay. I just told you, it's all this greed and wanting Buc-ee's T-shirts.
Don't make him feel bad.
You're part of the problem.
Oh, my God. Don't listen to her. You're not a problem, Bucky. Okay.
This desire to acquire more Bucky's merchandise, it's going to be the ruin of us all.
Whatever. You know, they don't have any Bucky's out in California.
There are no Bucky's outside of Texas.
Well, no, that's not true. There's one in Florida, I think they're putting in.
What the Sam Hills are doing in Florida? They don't deserve that.
Well, you know, the thing is that there is one outside of Texas.
It is a Texas institution. It should not be, you know, if you should only know the love of Bucky's if you travel your butt here. That should be the only way you should know.
According to Bob, they had a Bucky and Wolverine shop.
That's Buckeye.
Is it Buckeye?
That is not relevant whatsoever.
Now, you know, you're going to get our audience cut even further down if you keep on hurting people like that.
I have a terrible headache and my teeth are killing me.
So I'm
already suffering. Don't worry.
Well, I think that's terrible.
Well, Bob knows he's sometimes our punching bag. He can take it. He knows where it comes from. He knows it comes from love or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I don't know if like Yeg is still in the corner with his circus pants on, or if he had to bail or what. I haven't seen him say anything in a while.
He was sick this past week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling good.
Oh, you remember Stuckey's?
Stuckey's pecan roll.
We had those here.
Yes, we did. That is so, you know.
Another tragic thing gone by the wayside.
We were at the old Wally World today, and
doing it there? Oh yeah.
Just various things, and man, I tell you, I wished I had bought a pecan pie.
Teeny
you know,
one.
the small ones. They had small ones for 50 cents.
They had tiny pies
and
for 50 cents.
Bigger than a tart, you know, but you know,
fits in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, and they had that. They had the little pumpkin pies.
Palm pies.
Palm pies. That's exactly what it was.
Pocket pies.
Hot pockets. Anyway, but those, you know, pecan pies. That sounds really good. I know you don't like pecan pie.
And I'm a Southerner.
One, you don't like the nuts.
No. I could do without
and
those nuts.
Two, all the spoogy stuff and you don't snot.
Squidgy, snotty.
You know,
mystery spooge. No, I don't do mystery spooge.
It makes a great combination, though. I mean, it's delicious.
I could eat pumpkin pie. I just don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't prefer it. I'm like, I don't do sweet potato pie. I don't do any fruit-based pies. That's just wrong on every level. I don't do anything that has cow slobber on it, which is what my mom called meringue. So basically that just leaves you with the chocolate-based pies.
Okay. And speaking of leaves you, this wraps up another exciting edition of Spaceboy Universe. We're so glad that the Space Cadets tuned in tonight, and we're looking forward to the future as we approach September, being our 3rd anniversary.
Oh, man, I forgot about that.
What?
That we're having an anniversary.
Yeah, 3rd year, Surlana. Anyway, as Surlana regroups and heads out of the door for some fresh hot food, we'll leave you with this. We love you, Space Cadets, and continue to tune into Spaceboy Universe as we continue to explore it for you. Good night, everyone.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Surlana. Executive producer is Surlana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K28, Solars Blue Raven, Patrick Spurrier, Dino, Bob and Beverly M. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.